So another race weekend, another Stewards inquiry, and also a new track, which is always pretty fun. The Qatar Grand Prix didn't exactly have it all, but it at least had some. And as there is a World Cup happening in Qatar next year, the FIA was joined by some guests from the footballing world, such as Gianni Infantino, who is the president of FIFA, and every boy's hero when I was 10 years old, David Beckham. Beckham was seen with Christian Horner on the grid prior to the race starting, presumably because, Beckham and Horner have got connections to a certain girl band from the 1990s, or they have or had bosses that just love to have a bit of a whinge when referees' decisions go against them. That is a joke, by the way, please don't get too worked up. Toto has also had a bit of a whine from time to time. It's not just Christian Horner that I'm singling out here. If you no longer go for gag that exists, and so on. Also, my snozzle is an absolute hosepipe at the minute. I think I got a cold. Bloody British weather. But with all that said, the ill temper between Red Bull and Mercedes seems to have been turned up beyond 11 now, and this time Horner was pulled before the authorities for comments made regarding a rogue marshal in qualifying. Basically what happened is Max didn't slow down for double waved yellows. And this caused a bit of a ruckus on social media as well, because you've got some yelling that there were green lights clearly visible in the pit lane, there was a white flag shown a few corners before that, and a manner of other things. And the FIA actually said they had sympathy for Max on this occasion, given that there was a lack of display of yellow light panels, dash warning lights, audio signals, and other things to warn him of the issue. They later added that while the yellow flag signs were turned off 34 seconds prior to the driver reaching the scene, it was still the driver's responsibility to take appropriate action when entering what was a double yellow flag area. I guess it's a bit like regular drivers like you or I on the the real roads outside, relying too much on our sat-navs as opposed to following traditional road signs. It's not that at all, is it? So the FIA gave Max and Valtteri Bottas penalties that were in line with what had been issued in the year. Max got 5 places because it was double waved yellows that he'd failed to slow down for, and Bottas got 3 places because it was single waved yellows that he failed to slow down for. And this is in line with what was issued early in the year, because at Bahrain, Vettel got a 5-place grid drop for ignoring double waved yellows, and at Austria, Hamilton got 3 places for ignoring single waved yellows, if that makes sense. But what about the green flags? I hear some people cry. Well, those were for the weighbridge in the pit lane that had nothing to do with what was happening out on track. It's a bit like how I talked earlier this year about the blue flags shown at the end of the pit lane. They're not move over, they're just there to say, hey, there's faster traffic coming, please be careful. And I did that video explanation because people were saying that Lewis getting parked on was karma for him not obeying the blue flags. All this means that Gasly was promoted to 2nd on the grid and Alonso up to 3rd. And since everybody said that this track would be bad for overtaking and racing would be a procession with DRS-only overtakes and Lewis would bugger off into the distance, well, I mean, they were sort of right. Verstappen, Perez and Bottas doing DRS overtakes are going to look OP because, the Mercedes and the Red Bull are superior to the rest of the grid. But with a few of the others, the cars got to the point of being alongside the defending car and then were able to pass in the braking zone, as opposed to always being a slam dunk pass before the braking zone that we see at a lot of other tracks. And drivers were able to follow through that middle sector, and Ocon had a great battle with Perez that was fun to watch through the few corners that went on for, and then we saw a few punctures. I mean, the drivers were able to follow close enough through that middle sector, and Ocon had a great battle with Perez around some twisty bits that were great to watch with the few corners that happened, but before and after that battle, we saw some punctures. Oh, cough. When Bottas' tyre let go, he'd been out for about 35 laps on the mediums, and then after the Ocon and Perez battle, the Williams cars had theirs let go. Latifi at the end of the lap, and Russell at roughly the same spot as Bottas. I think I've been getting lost a bit on the old track map. This is really annoying me now. Yeah, Pirelli did actually recommend a 2-stop, but this is Formula 1 and they're going to try and stay out as long as humanly possible. And Bottas was trying to get back up after his bad start, and Latifi's was caused by a curb strike. And the virtual safety car that came out, I think, after Latifi's puncture, saved Alonso's race because he had to slow down and therefore wasn't putting too much stress on the tyres and was able to get to the end as a result. But I'm not sitting here and saying that Alonso only made it to 3rd because of the virtual safety car. It was a great drive all round, and it's his first podium since 2014, which, checking stats, I think is the longest time between podium finishes. 7 years without a podium for one of the greats. That's a long time, isn't it? Ocon also put in a great shift and Alpine solidify more of a 5th place in the Constructors, while Ferrari now have almost a 40-point lead over McLaren now in 3rd, and Norris was 9th and Ricciardo was 12th, so a really bad score for McLaren on this outing. McLaren are more than safe for 4th in the Constructors' Championship, but I know a couple of McLaren fans that would be wondering what could have happened this season. 3rd in the Championship would have been a big boost going into 2022, so long as they get the regulations hooked up, obviously. But even though it was Hamilton and Verstappen well out in front, and I don't think Hamilton had his Brazilian warp drive this weekend, the track put on an okay show. Not great, not terrible, but it was okay. I mean, like I said, everybody said it would be awful for following, but people got close enough to get DRS and stuff, so this BTEC Sakir circuit might not be a bad addition to the calendar after all. So now we've got 2 races left. Saudi Arabia next weekend, and then the finale at Abu Dhabi. It does feel weird having the season end in December, to be honest. But anyway, I've managed to drag myself through a recap and some opinions involved with the Qatar Grand Prix. Leave your thoughts down in the comment submission zone underneath this video and get a discussion going. It is, after all, why I do this series. And while scrolling down, give the video a like if it's given you some food for thought, and if you haven't already, subscribe and get the bell on so you never miss out on a future video from this channel. Massive thanks as ever go out to the good folk of Patreon for their continued support at a more personal level. If you do want to leave me a monthly tip, you can do so by following the link in the description. But also find a link to Discord and also some vague directions to Twitter, Instagram, and all that jazz. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward. I'm off to have a Lemsip for this cold or whatever drugs I can find in the flat. So have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.